Hey there. Welcome to the Eurostep, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN, and presented by our pals at Prize Picks. Rohan and I were joking before we started recording. They're giving us a lot of protected plays lately. I think Prize Picks knows that, like the Bucks on Saturday night, we've taken some L's lately, but we're ready to bounce back, and Prize Picks helping us do that. It can help you as well. We can help you on Prize Picks. Download the app. Use code Eurostep, get $50 when you play $5 for the first time. Whether you win or lose, you can't beat that. I'm Ty Windisch, joined as always by my co-host Rohan Katti, and we've got a little something special on today's episode. We're recording Sunday morning before the NFL conference championship weekends, which will be fun. Probably get into some prize picks for those games too. No Bucks today. The Herd play today. Actually, free Herd ad because I'm wearing the Damian Lillard designed hat here. I got this from eBay. I did not get this in exchange for this ad. That would have been smart of me. But they are giving away 500 of these to the first 500 fans, I believe, who come to the game against the Windy City Bulls at 5 p.m. on Sunday. So if you're like, I don't care about the football, I want to watch more basketball, I want to check out A.J. Johnson, you can go do that. Oshkosh Arena here in the beautiful metropolis of Oshkosh. And speaking of the Herd, one last Herd note, and then we're going to do a lot of Bucks. Interviews with A.J. Johnson and Henry Ellenson conducted by me after Saturday night's Herd game, a really tough loss. I appreciate those guys taking the time to thoughtfully answer my questions. I think the Herd trailed by 50 at one point to the Capital City Go-Go. Those interviews will be at the end of this podcast, so listen all the way through. We're going to talk a bunch of Bucks stuff, and then you can hear me talk to AJ and Henry Ellenson. Henry about his AmeriCup experience in November and kind of his call-up mentality. And AJ Johnson talked a lot about just like specific skill things with his game, and I really appreciate him. Really, you can tell he really thinks about what he says when I ask him questions about like what he's working on and what he's trying to do out there, which is nice. So you can look forward to those interviews, but I've done a lot of talking. Rohan, how's it going?
I'm doing well, doing well. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to talk Bucks basketball with you, Ty.
Oh,
Especially with a team that's looking rejuvenated, a team
yeah,
that's looking like it's found its identity, a team that even though they lost against the Clippers on Saturday night, a late game, real Bucks after dark.
yeah.
Uh, and it's going to be for the next week. But make sure everyone stocks up on their coffee. But it's been a fun to watch team. Unfortunately, they are no longer in possession of the longest winning streak currently in the NBA,
Yeah.
which they did hold at the time with 5 games. But I think we've learned a lot about this team over the last couple games, couple weeks, even including this Clippers game, which was a really good game and a good look for the Bucks, even though they lost. But it's been an interesting time, especially with the trade deadline less than 2 weeks away. We've got a lot to talk about, Ty.
We do. To your point about this rejuvenated Bucks team and this new Bucks team, I totally agree. I thought the first 3 quarters of Bucks Clippers, it was a nail-biting neck and neck game. And unlike some Bucks games where it's close and you're like, oh, it's close because the Bucks are doing this or that, it was close because both teams were just playing at a high level. I mean, there's good defenders on both of these teams. The Clippers are like second in defensive rating or third coming into this, and the Bucks are top 10 as well. The defenses were not having much luck, man. I mean, these two teams just have elite offensive players, and they were able to execute. For the Bucks, obviously, Giannis and Dame, Gary Trent Jr., when he's on a roll like he is, I would also call elite. And then for the Clippers, even though, words like past their prime may be used, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and then Norm Powell, who is going to be like a fringe all-star this year.
I said another plug. I said on the latest GSPN After Dark, which is our exclusive podcast.
Yeah.
You can find the subscription at gspn.info, $8 a month, exclusive podcast, written content, commercial-free feeds of all GSPN podcasts over there. But we were doing a little whip around, and we were talking a little bit about all-stars because the starters had just been revealed, and we picked our reserves. And I was like, should be Norm Powell. Norm
Yeah.
Powell should be a Western Conference All-Star reserve, which is incredible. In year 10, I believe, for
Yeah.
a first-time All-Star, crazy, but it's deserved.
Double the
Also,
scoring
Marcus
average.
Johnson. I love Marcus Johnson so much. This is not an anti-Marcus
Uh-oh.
Johnson sentiment
Marcus Johnson
at
hate
all.
incoming.
No, 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 no. I want to make this
Hmm.
clear. I love Marcus Johnson with every fiber of my being. we need to stop bringing up the Grievous Vasquez trade for my own sanity.
Was this the first quarter?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I was coming back from the Herd game and I missed it. So
he's
no
like
Marcus Johnson slander.
Norm Powell. Me. He's like, what's Grievous? I wonder what Grievous Vasquez is up to. Well, Norm Powell's doing this, and it's like, I get it, Marcus. True, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But for my own sanity, we need to stop.
Got to chill on that. But high-level basketball game. Bucks kind of succumbed to the turnover bug early in the fourth quarter, and that really did them in. That's where the Clippers built up that lead. Also, James Harden was just cooking. I mean, he does the cook thing, but second half, he was incredible in this game. The Bucks right now, to me, and we'll talk about some other things. Brook playing 41 minutes was kind of wild, but Bobby Portis was out, personal reasons. Jim Ozarski of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel says real personal reasons, so to put down the tinfoil trade machine hats.
Yep. Hope everything is good with Bob.
Yes. Bucks big depth, really limited. Tyler Smith, although called up for this game, did not really play. He only played garbage time at the very end. DeLon Wright didn't even get in then. But it's Giannis and Dame's team now. And I think that maybe that sounds obvious. Maybe, people listening are like, well, it's been that obviously since the trade. I think it was Giannis, Dame, Khris, and Brook last season. And I think Dame, more than anyone, kept saying that. And I think not even this whole year, but since the team has been good, the last month, I mean, I shouldn't say good, but since this most recent run, the last month or so, I think everyone's kind of realized it's us two, like the Giannis and Dame saying it's us two, everyone else, like those guys need to carry us. It's their team. And I think that was very apparent in this game. Giannis has 36-13, only one assist. Dame's just been handling the ball a lot more. Dame has a second consecutive triple-double, 29, 10, and 10. Not as fun as the last one.
Two triple-doubles in 2 games stretch with the Bucks, 3 for his entire career before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I looked this up before his triple-double against the Heat, which was one of the most, it's sad we didn't record after that game, one of the more fun games of the season. They absolutely demolished the Heat, which they took it away and then gave it back to him. Very odd. Bucks official scorekeeper. Just can't. The Bucks scorekeeper is the worst home cooking I've ever seen. Worst home cooking I've ever seen. Giannis should probably have double the blocks per game for his career.
Why do you think Brook has to gesture to the scorekeeper, saying, "Hey, by the way, this is a block." He does it,
but he does have to do it.
It's crazy. No other home arena or environment has this.
Jaren Jackson Jr., they're like, give him 2 for that one. That was cool. We love that one. Was awesome. That's a 4-pointer.
Player of the year.
Yeah, and Brook lost one. Brook might have lost one because of his block numbers. Because not just the raw blocks, but also like your defensive metrics and things. Like the block number feeds into more than just your blocks. So, but regardless, this game was in LA, so there was no controversy. They're just like, yeah, that's a triple double. There you go. We'll give your star player a 10 assist, 10 rebound triple double. It's fun. It doesn't matter. It's fun. Rant aside. But it's their team. The next leading scorer was Trent, who had 19. He's on a heater right now. We all know it's not sustainable, right? Like,
hey, why do you have to put that energy out there?
It's because we've seen the whole year with him.
And it's progressively gotten better.
This run has progressively been. Do you think he's a 19-point per game player in this league? And on this team, I should say. I think he might have gotten there with the Raptors. I think
his shooting is sustainable.
Maybe
not at 50%, but I think he can be a 45% shooter.
I agree. But my point is not that he can't be a consistent scorer and shooter. It's that he's not the third guy. That's the problem for the Bucks right now Bob has been the clearest third guy. This was actually, came into this game kind of like, I hope all is well with Bobby Portis. Is this going to be is there going to be an addition by subtraction thing? There really wasn't. You kind of missed the consistent at least 15 and often more points per game from Bob. They kind of needed that in this one. Trent had 19. Lopez had 13. I don't know why he played 41 minutes. He was 4 for 10 of the field.
I think we'll get into this in a little bit, so I'm not going to completely derail. But I think the missing Bob aspect comes a lot from the Khris Middleton performance.
Yeah, I just think you had to go smaller with someone when the Clippers went no Zubats.
Yeah.
I think Brook should have just matched Zubats because Zubats was a problem. But Zubats only played 28 minutes in this game. Brook does not need to play 13 more than their center when I mean, who's the next biggest guy they brought off the bench? Nick Batum?
Yeah, probably.
Who was terrible. Every time I see Giannis match up with Nick Batum, I remember Miran Fader's book where he's like, one of the assistant coaches is like, you could be Nick Batum someday. And Giannis goes, if I was Nick Batum at my peak, I would go back to Greece. Nick Batum, that's got to weigh on Nick Batum, right?
Has to.
Fourth quarter, yelling wise, Batumin. But that's one thing about the rotation I didn't like. But to your point, I will give Doc a little grace on that because no AJ Green again. Although he did warm up, shoot around. Doc said it shouldn't be long term, so hopefully he's back soon. And of course, no Bob and Middleton, who I haven't said yet, just because I'm going down the leading scorers. We have to go a bit still. TP had 14. A really nice TP game. 4 from 7 from 3, 4 assists. He's actually had a lot of assists in back-to-back games. Again, do you want TP to be your third leading starter in points? No. He should be the fourth or fifth option, ideally on offense. He should just be a guy who fills in. No disrespect to Taurean Prince. That's his role. Ajax had 4 points. Classic Ajax performance. Not even criticizing. That's what you expect from him. Trent with the 19 was great. Rollins, bad game, 0 points. Pat Connaughton game, 0 points. He missed his only shot, had 2 assists. That's fine, whatever. Marjon Beauchamp, 0 points. Oh, sorry, Tyler Smith, 2 points. Not going in order here. Tyler Smith, 2 points. Pretty good. Garbage time again. Marjon, 0. 1 trillion in garbage time. Stanley Amude, 0. 1 trillion in garbage time. No stats. Also with 0, Khris Middleton. 19 and a half minutes, unlike the 1 minute the garbage time guys played. 0 for 4. Did have 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 fouls. Defensively, rough. Didn't look good. Harden cooked him a couple times. Just fouled a lot. Minus 16, team low in his 19 and a half minutes. And I think extra tough because I'm the other side. And I'm not saying he should be as good as Kawhi Leonard. But the Clippers got kind of exactly what you need from a star-level player on a minutes restriction out of Kawhi. Even though they did lose those minutes, Kawhi comes in 24 tidy minutes, 18 points on 8 for 17 from the field, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. I mean, Khris has not really gotten to that 18 mark often, but those are the kind of games he was having, to be fair. His last 5 games before this were good, but just gave them nothing in the first game back after the travel and missing the Heat game. And I mean, I think that's a big reason why they lost is Giannis and Dame, the defensive activity got to them, and there was just no one else consistent enough offensively to take that load off of those two.
Yeah, I think like what you were saying about it's not a typical Khris Middleton performance in the last couple of games, like you were saying. I think it's a little bit unfair to point this entire discussion based on this one game, but
Great.
it's just it's really unfortunate because I think the Kawhi Leonard comparison, even though it may be a little
aspirational
and like a little like not to you, but like a little disingenuous between the two players, it's apt. Like
they
Kawhi,
need something like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be Kawhi. They need something like that.
Yeah, Kawhi is a guy who still hasn't played over 30 minutes in a game this season and is continuing to just put up buckets.
He's been back for what, like 2 weeks? I mean, he even more than Khris. He is like a cyborg, and he'll just like, okay, I haven't played in 2 years. I'm just going to go get 15 now.
Yeah, it's just easy. And that's what we thought it was going to be like for Khris. Because they are similar-ish players. Not in like the way they play every single facet of the game, but in terms of like their scoring ability, yeah, you would think they should be comparable.
Physical profile, they're very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, 6'8", mid-range guy. I mean, there's Kawhi was just obviously better, and it is now better.
And Kawhi has dealt with more injuries.
He's played, this is his 7th game of the year. He returned January 4th. He actually did start pretty slow. 12 points on 4 for 11, then had 8 on 3 for 11, then had 6 on 3 for 9. But now his last 4 kind of took about a week to get the rust off. He had 23 on 8 for 11 against Brooklyn. The Clippers won that game by 59 points. 19 against the Lakers on 9 for 13. 15 against the Wiz. He missed 2 games in there. 15 against the Wiz on 7 for 16. Washington. And then 18 in this one, as I said, on the 8 for 17. So kind of a very parallel to Khris Middleton, but outside of the rough start, he's been, I'd say, better and is actually ramped up a little faster.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this all ties into the Bobby stuff we were talking about, because
Yeah.
I know there's been two schools of thought for how the Bucks should approach this trade deadline. Well, I guess three technically. One is stand pat and do nothing,
Yeah.
but that's probably not going to be what the Bucks do.
Yeah.
There's one where you can just change your franchise once again, do a Khris, do a Bobby, do a Pat, bring in Levine, Butler. Those are the only two names I'm going to say.
Yep. You're not going to say Jeremy Grant and Robert Will. Have you seen steam picking up for this?
You know what? I wouldn't be like horrified.
Yes, you would. It cost Khris and Bobby to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jeremy Grant sucks. I need
Jeremy Grant's not
understand.
Good.
He's not good.
No, Jeremy Grant is not good. I'm more interested in like the Robert Williams stuff. But yeah, it's like there's one where you can do like a Khris Bobby, like just push everything towards
Khris
the
Bobby
center.
Pat is pretty much the pack. In almost all of these, they would have to go to duck the second apron.
Yeah, and then there's just the smaller one, which is a little like Bobby, Pat sort of thing.
Yeah.
You and I have talked a lot about just like maybe potential addition by subtraction with Bobby. And getting like a Robert Williams would be amazing, who looks incredible lately. I thought this game, like, if it was kind of a vote of confidence against the small trade.
Yeah, this was a data point against that for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
If you're again, it's not the end all be all, because we have other games. One game sample is not enough to make any sort of claims whatsoever. But you have a game, you have an opportunity to see what this team is like without Bobby, and can Khris pick up a little bit of that slack? And the answer is no.
That game, it was
for that game, yeah.
And that was
to be very
point.
Clear.
That was the first time we've seen that question. I don't think we've seen much Khris without Bobby. And yeah, it was just rough. And I think, somebody I think replied, we put up stocks and Khris was 2 down. It was like, oh, Khris after missing a game gets the 2 down. It's like,
that's every game for him.
Yeah, I mean, he misses a lot of games. I mean, you can't just. You have to judge when he's there, and you really do, because you only get so many. I mean, talked about Kawhi not debuting until January. Khris didn't until about a month earlier in early December. And again, has had some really nice run in there. Actually did get up to 30 minutes and then has ramped back down since. This was kind of concerning trend here. He got to 30. We know then he was starting and then came back out of the starting lineup, lower minutes. So since returning as a bench player, 20 minutes in the win against the Spurs, 22 against Orlando, 24 against the Knicks. And then Knicks, these Orlando and Knicks, and then didn't play Kings because it was the first of a back-to-back. And then Magic, Raps, Philly. Those 5 games were 5 of his better games. The numbers aren't great, but the efficiency was there, and he was at 4 to 8 assists in that entire stretch with 11 to 16 points, all on 50% or better from the field. So it really kind of seemed like a bit of a turnaround. Misses the Miami game. I think could have played. I don't think he was ruled out going into that game, but with the way the travel was, they didn't want to throw him in, which I understand. But again, like it's another game. One of your top 3 guys can't play. Like that doesn't matter. It does. You can't just be like, oh well, when he plays and per 36, it's this. Well, doesn't play a lot of the games, and they don't have him for 36 minutes. Like that. That's impactful. And then this game was just horrible. So, yeah, you need to see more than one. I don't think this means you need to trade Khris Middleton now. It is certainly a data point against, though, being able to rely on him, which is obviously unfortunate. He also only played 19 minutes in this game. So it was up to 25 against Philly. He kept fouling, but, 19 is still pretty low. He had 4 personals. It's just nothing was good about this for Khris. There was not one bit of pop. He continued. He didn't turn the ball over. I guess that's the one. He now has 1 turnover in his last 4 games. But this was a rough data point with less than 2 weeks to go for the trade deadline, for sure.
100%. 100%. It's just, it's not great. Again, like I don't even think I'm still not team trade Khris Middleton, right? I'm not in that. And let's say even if I join that, just to be clear, I will not be happy about it.
Yep.
Never going to be happy about it.
It's ghoulish to celebrate that they might have to trade him if you're someone who's like always been low on Khris Middleton and you're trying to victory lap this. I just think that's a loser thing to do.
Oh, 100%. Very loser thing to do for an absolute winner in Khris Middleton.
Yeah.
Just absolute legend. No one's known ever going to wear 22 again. That's for sure. I'm going to be first in line to get tickets to that game.
The Heat fans are debating if they would let Khris wear 22 if he got traded to Miami, by the way.
Why?
Jimmy Butler is currently wearing 22.
He is 22. Yeah. For some reason, I thought he wore 23.
No. Can't wear that. They retired 23 in Miami for Michael Jordan, who never played there.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, weird franchise. Very weird franchise.
That's got to be one of the weirdest things that's ever happened in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Like, just ultimate, like, what are you doing? I don't get it.
I wonder if that's going to be a league-wide one when he passes. Is that what they did with Russell? Or no, they didn't do that, did they?
No. I mean,
is baseball the only sport that's done that?
I think they did something with Russell. I think they did. I think they did with Bill.
Is 6 retired everywhere? Is that
I think so, and they let people...
Yeah, they let you wear it if you already have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. It is league-wide. He's the only player in NBA history, the third player.
Jackie and Wayne Gretzky are the only other players.
Maybe at the time, maybe I'm mistaken. For some reason I thought Mariano Rivera too, but maybe he had the number. Maybe he had Jackie's number and they let him keep it because he played so long. Anyway, I wonder if we'll get there with Jordan someday. Hopefully not for a very long time if that decision has to be made. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, numbers. Yeah, they'll retire Chris's number regardless. They'll probably retire Jimmy's regardless too. They might let Khris wear it in the immediate aftermath. That's the tricky thing.
I don't know.
Like, do you let both guys wear it if you trade Jimmy for Khris and then knowing that you're going to retire it for the other guy? Kind of weird.
Yeah, maybe. I think Heat fans have a lot of respect for Khris. I hope.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Celtics, this is never going to happen, but imagine he gets traded to the Celtics. Celtics are like, Khris, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, Khris, well, you can wear 6. You can do anything. Like, Khris, we've seen you. We know what you can do.
Yep. Hats off to you, man.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen, too. Although now they're out on Drew. I heard it was villainous to criticize Drew Holiday's game if he was or is currently on your team, but I guess that doesn't apply to Celtics fans in 2025. Interesting.
Crazy how that works.
Yeah.
Celtics 500 team basically in the last month.
I can't enjoy it.
No.
No one believes it's going to last.
No.
I hope it does, but the Cavs coming down to earth to me is more believable.
Yeah. The Celtics do kind of give off like last year's Denver vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
I see it. The signs are there.
I agree with that. I mean, again, I think the conference, it's not closed off to the Bucks.
No.
I think that's what we're seeing. The Knicks have been a little more human. They absolutely trounced the Kings, put up 143 on them, but that is possible to do. I still think the minutes of their starters is something that's going to weigh on them later, literally. But the Bucks, I do think, have work to do. I do think some sort of a trade is required. This is obviously a data point in favor of, moving Khris for Butler or Levine, who can play more and be more available and potentially be better. I also think it's a data point in the camp of you need another center because Brook plays 41 minutes because, TP played a ton too. No Bob. Khris was in foul trouble and played poorly. There were just no other bigs. I mean, Giannis obviously plays 35 minutes. He played a lot too. I think, that's quite a big minutes load for him considering how much he does in the games. They just need someone. I'll tell you what, some good news on the trade market. I said everyone we're going after has been playing too much. I was looking at those Paris games. Bassie is kind of out of the rotation right now in San Antonio. Second round pick in Marjan or Delon Wright, or just Marjan, like take the flyer on Marjan if they want it. Reunite with Mamu. New treacherous twosome to pair with Wemby.
You keep saying the Marjan Mamu reunion like it means
Eminem. That's something. Those guys tore up the G League a couple of times, I assume. I think so. I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they had some games.
Just like the D-Wade to LeBron oop of Photoshop Marjan and Mamu. That's what I'm envisioning.
There's no shot Mamu can jump like
Not that high. It's a little lower. Maybe reverse him. Maybe Mamu throws it. Mamu's a gifted passer.
There you go. Marjan could do that.
Yeah, Marjan could jump a bit. This is RC Buford. If you're still there, I don't think he is. Spurs, make it happen.
Is he not?
I don't know if he's still calling the shots. They might have someone doing more day to day now. Also, still very strange whenever you watch them play.
He's the CEO of the Spurs still.
But is that the lead executive role? So that's what I mean. That might be different.
That's true.
Do they have a Pobo or a CEOs usually aren't making trades?
Yeah. Robert Canterbury Buford.
Oh. Canterbury is not usually a middle name.
No, I just assumed his name was just RC.
Does Chase Buford's wiki have his middle name?
Chase Buford. Robert.
Oh, okay. Well, I would have imagined if it was Canterbury.
That'd be cool. CC Buford.
He is coaching in college now.
Is he?
I learned.
Oh,
that.
yeah. He's yeah.
It's Kansas.
He is an analyst for the Kansas Jayhawks.
He was staying on the bench. I don't know if that's a coaching or whatever. Anyway.
On June 14th, 2024, Buford was announced as an analyst for the Kansas Jayhawks. I don't know what that means.
That sounds like media. I heard he was on the bench. Whatever. That's enough former Herd coaching news. I don't have a Jordan Brady update for anyone right now. But I think, so what I'm saying, Charles Bassey should be available. He's a minimum guy expiring. The Spurs aren't playing him now anyway, so you would assume the price there would be a second-round pick at most. You still need to open up the roster spot for Rollins, even though he struggled. I don't know what got into him in this Clippers game. He was like trying to ISO good defensive players. It's just not when it didn't have the space. When he has the space and he takes an ISO shot, I'm like, that's fine. Like just going at Zubats on one of them, I was like, he's a good player, man. I don't know if that was like an appearance scout versus an actual game scout or what. Like, oh, this guy looks a little slow. He's good, man. Zubats can play.
Zubats,
not a good game.
The Zubats Michael Beasley trade remains one of the weirdest things that's ever happened.
What team traded Zubats that time? See, this is like his fourth.
The
team,
Lakers to the Clippers.
Oh yeah. He
for
was
Michael Beasley,
I think. Was he a Cav at one point?
I don't know. I don't have his Wikipedia.
I thought Zubats got around a little bit. Dude, no team like the Lakers, which is ironic because their whole rep was like the greatest centers ever. Their whole franchise.
No, he's only played for the Lakers and Clippers in the NBA.
Oh, really? Maybe I'm thinking of Zizits, not nearly.
Oh yeah,
But he's huge though. The Lakers love to just trade away good centers for parts.
But like even at the time, everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, well, they're poorly run, so that's what they're doing.
Magic, what are you doing, man? That was a Magic trade, I think.
I don't think Magic was making the call on the Zubats. Well, maybe he was on the Zubats for Beasley. I don't know if Magic was like, we need Michael Beasley. I don't know, maybe.
But yeah, going at Zubats in isolation is a choice.
Not good. Shams reporting on Anthony Davis's desires. Did you see that?
Not reporting. He just straight up asked him.
What are your desires, Anthony Davis? I quoted that. I was like, I love hearing about Anthony Davis's desires. Just say he wants them to make a trade. Also, imagine being a Laker and LeBron and AD are just like, please trade these guys. Are you sleeping good at night? Is that good for team chemistry?
Can't be good for morale, right?
I would imagine not. You know, I mean, like Khris is in trade rumors, Bobby, like that hurts. But at least like Giannis isn't DMing Shams like, hey.
Not DMing, like going and sitting, like video recording of you sitting next to him and talking about them.
Yeah, like, hey, we got to get rid of some of these bums.
Look like a studio show, and it's just like.
Well, he said it in a media scrum too. You're in the locker room. Imagine you're walking behind the scrum and you hear AD like, "We got to make a move." You're just, oh, okay.
This roster construction stinks.
You're Jared Vanderbilt. You're just like, well, I'm gonna put my house on the market.
No.
I don't know if Vando bought a house there. It's been a couple years. He might have. Anyway, let's talk about our friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 10 million members on the way to 100 million. With our help, we need your help. Support the show by signing up at Prize Picks. Again, download the app, use code Eurostep, and you can get $50 when you play your first $5 lineup, win or lose. There's also a link in the description of this episode. I got a protected play, but for the 6-pick power play, 5 for 6. I'll spoil it early. Taurean Prince, goblin time, more than half a three-pointer made. I should have gone demon time. TP hit 4. No doubt there. Eased my mind first quarter. Scary Gary Trent Jr., here's where I went demon time, more than 2.5 made threes. 5. He's raining them right now. Easy hit. Damian Lillard, more than 34.5 points, rebounds, assists. What have we been talking about? It's Dame and Giannis' team. Dame's involved more. Dame's not deferring. He had 49. Not at halftime, he was 1 away. Norm, more than 22.5 points. Norman Powell. Stormin' Norman Powell had 33. Figured he had a slow start, but he still was 11 points at half. I was yeah, he's going to get his shots. Giannis, more than 11.5 field goals made. Figured, don't love the way the free throw shooting is going lately. That was a bad call. He was great from the line. We can talk about that. That was nice to see. A new routine, a broom workout, get more loft. Good to see. He had 12. Barely got there. So he needed 1 shot late in the game. Zubats needed 1 point. If it's a Zubats, I still praised him. I didn't let it cloud my analysis. Needed more than 12.5 points. Big fella had 12 exactly. I'm watching these last possessions. I'm seeing the scrubs go to the bench for the Bucks. I'm all right, Harden, miss it. Zubats, just tap it in. You had 3 offensive rebounds. Just 1 more. Couldn't do it. Only shot 50% from the field, which is probably below his average. Made both of his free throws. I can't be mad at him for missing a free throw, but even to Zubats, so close to a big win there, but spiced up a game that I knew the Bucks had probably lost by that point, but at least I got to be locked in. Keep Zubats in. Come on, Ty Lue. Let him keep. He's only at 28 minutes. Knock the rust off. Didn't do it. Oh well. Again, download the Prize Picks app. You can get on the action. It's playable in more than, I think, almost 40 states now. I believe I've seen a new report, but Wisconsin's one of them, and we know that's where most of our listeners are located. You can do the flex plays, the power plays.
I was gonna say, the good thing about Prize Picks is if you had done a flex play, that's a win.
Would have been a win. I know. And maybe I'll have to dabble in one of those. Got some great football today. There's a quarterback out there, a rookie quarterback out there. 1 passing yard. That's a free square, baby. I feel good about that one. Nothing's a guarantee in this world. I think this rookie QB is going to pass for 1 yard. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code Eurostep. Get $50 when you play $5 lineup for the first time. Win or lose. Prize Picks, run your game. The Bucks. I mean, we don't really have any trade news at this point. I don't think anything has really happened. I keep seeing the same bit of analysis, which is Jimmy is holding everything up. And it really does seem like whether it's the Bucks getting Jimmy Butler or getting in on that trade or doing something after, which I think all 3 are options still at this point. I think that's going to be when Jimmy gets moved is when there's going to be some solace. There's going to be some resolution for the Bucks and what's happening from here. I still think Jimmy just to the Bucks is on the table.
Yeah, I think that's completely still on the table.
It hasn't been talked about as much because the Phoenix made that. Also, Phoenix, I think, looks stupid right now. If they don't get Jimmy Butler, that trade was stupid.
So bad.
I don't understand why you would do that if you don't have the trade lined up. Also, here's actually something that we haven't talked about. I'll put this to you. If you're the Suns, would you rather have traded that first you agree to do this, but you don't actually do it right away, to get Utah to send Collins and Sexton and take Butler, if Utah would do that? Because that trade works for Utah. Obviously, Collins and Sexton then would go to Heat or wherever. I mean, maybe Utah just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but if you're using these 3 picks to trade for Butler, I guess it doesn't matter.
But I just wouldn't have made this their first trade if you didn't.
Oh no, you shouldn't make this trade before you have something else lined up.
I think Utah is one of the more logical Beal team. Now it's not. Now they're we're not taking our crap picks we just gave you back to take on this terrible contract. I don't know if he would agree to it. You got to get him on the phone with Lauri Markkanen and hey, dude, $50 million a year goes a long way. You know how much land you can get? You know how beautiful and picturesque the landscape is here in Utah? You only have to play half the games. You get a lot of downtime, buddy. Consider it. I don't know if Beal would agree to that or not. Lauri sure likes it. But Utah...
A little different for Lowry.
Fair. I mean, I think either way, you're in your own ecosystem. If you play for the Utah Jazz, you're on your own compound, I think, but fair. Very fair. But now I'm looking at the Beal teams. I think you have to look at like who wants to be bad for like 2-ish years. And there's just not that many teams right now. Washington, hilariously enough, the homecoming, like they're in really year 1 of the real tank. I could see them, maybe. It seems like they don't want to. Utah, they suck. Like the Pistons, the Pistons aren't going to take it. They're good.
They don't want to suck. They're good,
They're better than Miami. Better than Phoenix. Why do they want to take this garbage contract on? They're like, no, we want the good players.
Portland?
Yeah, maybe Portland. I mean, the salaries are a little tricky. I was looking at Portland. The problem is, like, they have to... Simons is kind of good. I don't think he fits on the Heat at all because they have kind of already a too small guard problem. Like, does anyone want to take Ayton? That's the problem with Portland is, like, they have to send out some pretty bad deals as well. Here's DeAndre Grant, who's had even more years, I think, than Beal. Like, ugh. I think you look at what's going back and you're just like, all right, Miami's just like, no, we'll just be in this ugly situation rather than take Jeremy Grant and DeAndre Ayton back. There's not that many teams. I don't know where he's going to, like, Chicago. Chicago, if they decide to tank, I guess, is the other one.
Yeah, and that's the one we've been talking about for a while. But yeah, the Suns are just in disarray.
It's bad. Nurkic hasn't talked to Bud in 3 months, even though he got benched like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then someone asked Bud about that because that report came out during the game.
Crazy.
And then someone asked Bud about it, and Bud's like, that's just not true.
Nurkic is a loser. This is hilarious. So they have to get rid of him too. That's the other thing. Like,
loser.
They have 2 guys they're dying to get rid of. And it's just going to be difficult because they have 3 first-round picks and none of them are good.
Nick Richards looks incredible still.
I feel validated because there was a little pushback soon after, like, oh, Hornets fans were, I don't know if he's going to make that this really, or he's not crisp enough. And with that level of offensive players on that team, even though they've been bad, like just a guy who can clean up a little bit and be athletic, like there's clear
almost like a 2020 game.
Yeah, there's clear value there. I want to address, I've seen Patrick Williams floated as he could be like PJ Washington. He can't.
No, he can't.
Not good at anything.
No, he's bad.
I don't even care his 3-point, but he sucks.
No, he's not. Like, show me one thing he does at above average level or an average level on an NBA court.
Gets minutes. That's his best skill.
He does play.
Same for Jeremy Grant. I'm not interested in the cardio boys at small forward. That's all they're doing.
The cardio boys at small forward who should be playing power forward but can't.
Yes. It's even worse. I'm 6'7". Do you utilize it? Not at all.
That's one of the problems with Khris.
Javonte Green is 6'5" and more physical than these guys. I'm not saying you should go get Javonte Green.
They wish they could be Javonte Green.
They do. Torrey Craig's like, it sucks to suck. Still on my list.
Meg the Stallion.
What?
Yeah.
Torrey Craig?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just blue ties.
Yeah, it just blew my mind.
If you're listening to this, make sure you check out the YouTube.
Torrey Craig?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for him.
It's crazy, right?
That is crazy. That's wild. I mean, like, good for him. Good for him, man. This is nothing to do with what Torrey Craig looks like. Just his stature in the league. That's all I'm...
Like, literally. Like, she's at the top of her game. Like,
yes.
Right? Torrey Craig.
People that famous, it's like Damian Lillard, Blake Griffin, prime Blake Griffin, Devin Booker, those kind of names. Torrey Craig, good for you, man.
You know what? If it's real, it's real, you know?
I mean, it's just like...
How did that even happen?
Yeah, he must have just been in the right place at the right time. I mean... Good for Torrey Craig. Anyway. I don't know what else to think about the Bucks right now. I mean, I do think...
We can talk about, like we mentioned the Giannis stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of trade, I think... I
don't want to jinx it.
Before we wrap this section up, the one most credible report we've gotten is Brian Windhorst saying that the Bucks are actively shopping Khris Middleton and Bobby Portis.
Yeah, that's
however much stock you put into that or not, that is the most high profile we have seen.
Can I share my take on what that means?
Please. This is an audio medium where we do talk to each other.
I know. Well, yeah. Well. I don't think that means they're dying to trade those guys. I just think I think they do want an upgrade. I don't think they just might. I think they do. They want a more stable third guy.
Yeah. And I think it's like they're trying to find possibilities. They're not like, hey, we need to get rid of these guys at whatever cost.
Correct.
We're trying to see if we can find a good deal.
Yes. The first and Khris and Bobby and Pat for LaVine is starting to look more appealing to me.
Starting to look more realistic.
Yeah, I think that's, again, Chicago's one of the teams we said, I mean, they would be taking a direction, right? They would be saying, we're going to be bad. You have to get Beal to sign off on it, which I think is challenging. But if he just is like, I'm tired of being basically like, the scapegoat, the Karibo for everything happening with Phoenix, and just like, I'd rather just, be like Jordan Poole. I'm going to go play free. Or D'Lo said, I'm going to go play free in Chicago. They can trade Vucevic to Golden State and get something if Golden State ever decides they want to do right by Steph. And then Chicago can actually rebuild, which good luck getting out of the play-in. So they've done too much work already, but, they can amass picks. I don't think, though, if you can get Beal to sign off, which I think is an if, I think it probably takes that Bucks first to get them to give up LaVine and take Beal.
Yeah, I think
and probably some stuff from Phoenix, but that Bucks pick is really the pick. And I think you really have to think long and hard if that's on the table about doing it. Unfortunately for the Bucks, it's not just up to them. Well, I guess that's the funny thing, right? It could be.
Yeah, it genuinely could be.
Just cut out Phoenix. I mean, just deal with Chicago if you really get sick of the process. But I think that is becoming more intriguing to me. Just the availability and being able to play and being younger, all these things we've said before. It is certainly something that I think the Bucks are looking into actively. And I see why. Like you said, it would just suck to trade Khris, but I would totally get it.
It'd be gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It'd be horrible. I wouldn't feel right about it ever, even if they win a title.
What do you feel? I don't know. I think I would feel like I understand it.
I'd much rather have Khris celebrate a title as a Buck than Zach LaVine celebrate a title as a Buck.
I agree. But I'd rather have Zach LaVine and Giannis and Dame celebrate a title than Khris, Giannis, and Dame in Cancun together in the late second round.
Yeah, but it's like I'd also like to see Dame get a title and Giannis get two.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, as much as I'd want
bring Khris to the celebration,
around,
he'd get a ring.
That's true. Yeah, he might show up.
Yeah, Bucks fans should welcome him. I feel like I'm already trying to rationalize this in my head.
I think John Horst did the same, and now he's done it, and he's out here on the market.
Yeah. Crazy. What a time.
It does. I'm ready for this all to end, because I do feel like I'm living under this, like, at any moment the Jimmy trade could bust, and it could involve Jimmy and or LaVine, and hopefully not Beal as a Buck, and Khris going, and it's just like, that's a crazy thing to just be like hanging over the whole NBA.
Yeah. It's a lot, right? Like,
yeah.
Is it a true super team?
I mean, again, the acclamation part of it is the most unappealing to me outside of the emotional part of trading Khris. But yeah, I think it would be. Either of those two guys. I think, positionally, they're the right fit between Giannis and Dame. They both offer different things, but
best trio in the league.
Yeah. Yeah,
without a doubt.
Comfortably. I mean, it's them against like the Jays and Porzingis or White or whatever.
Or if it's LaVine, it's KD, Book, Butler.
Yeah, I mean, get out of the play, get into the play-in first, and then maybe you can be up for best trio in the league.
That's fair.
Did they do that? Are they still out of are they below 10 still? They were 11 last time I checked. They're 8. Okay, sorry, Phoenix.
They're still in the play-in.
But they got back into it. I think they were out of it for like a couple games. They won 2 straight, though, and now they're back. It's pretty congested West.
Yeah. Just a lot. I hope they do something sooner rather than later so we can stop talking about it.
Well, again, everything seems to be held up by this Butler thing, and I think the Heat are ready to be over with it.
I think everyone's ready to get over with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of good things, though, I don't want to jinx it.
Too late.
Do we immortalize this broom in Fiserv somewhere?
Marcus said that we could travel with the brooms. Brooms everywhere.
Does the broom get hung up in the rafters at Fiserv?
Let's go more than one game. But Giannis to the talking about the stars. Actually, in 2 seconds, I don't think it'll take long. The triple-double was nice from Dame. Didn't have his three-point shot. Still a nice game. I like that he's more aggressive. I think he played well. Wasn't a great game for him, but he played well. Giannis. He was 16 to 17. That's ho-hum for Dame. Yeah, 94%. Nothing to talk about. Giannis, 12 for 15 from free throw. 80%. Something to talk about. It is just a huge difference. I mean, would he average 36 if he shot 80% from free throw?
Yeah.
Probably. Like that's literally the difference. The rest of his game was, I mean, not even a crazy efficient 2-point game for him, but 12 of 15 from free throw. We saw before the game one of the Bucks assistants or training staff holding up the broom that Giannis had to shoot over to get more arc, which is a great idea. I don't know how we didn't think of this before. You know, he's a decade as an all-star starter, but Giannis regularly...
Almost. He's at 9.
9 years as an all-star starter. He regularly does not have enough loft on the free throw. And came in, a little different routine. Maybe it was quicker. The Clippers crowd was counting so fast.
The wall, I will say, I'll say it's the wall.
Yeah.
It's kind of sick.
Different wall. You can call that the wall.
It's kind of sick.
It objectively doesn't work because this was like the best free throw shooting performance of Giannis since the 2021
But it objectively does work. I think Giannis is an anomaly.
I know. I on the broadcast they said the other side opponents shoot worse against than the wall.
Oh, I thought the wall actually worked.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm mistaken. But continue.
It did not work in this game. But I mean, it's great to see. Giannis just needs more arc. I mean, at his height with those hands, and I've said this before with like shooting it one-handed or trying something else from free throw, just like get it up there and give it a chance to bounce around on the rim. And you should be able to at least get to like 70%. 80 is great. And just a huge development we're obviously going to keep track of. You don't want to harp too much on one game, like the positive for Giannis or the negative for Khris. But this was great to see, and hopefully that this continues to be a focus for Giannis. And I don't need 80. If he's in the 70s, then that's just fine, and there's not going to be a need to worry about this free throw shooting like there has been when he's been at like 50% for a month or however long it's been.
So by the end of November, this is a little bit of an old stat.
Yeah.
The Clippers' opponents, when facing the wall, have shot, again, these stats are not true anymore, have shot 71% from the line. If that was a team, that'd be 29th.
Oh. Maybe
this could have all come back to earth in the last month and a half.
Yeah. I thought the Halo scoreboard thing was more impressive than the wall. It doesn't look that much different than just, every other team's thing behind the basket to me. I don't know. Maybe it looks different on
wall. It's the composition of the fans, right? Because it's like the wall is like they're giving these tickets to like college kids, students, to be annoying to the other
Bucks
team.
do this too, though. I mean, the Cream City, whatever.
But that's not like things. Right at. That's like more up.
A little bit. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I think it's a little.
I want to go to this new stadium.
The Intuit Dome. I'm tired. Yeah. I've made this rant before. I'm tired of hearing about it. It's a cool stadium.
I want to go.
Let's go next year.
I'm down.
I'm probably not going to do this.
Well, thanks, Ty. Here I am getting excited for Eurostep goes to California.
It's a big trip. We'll see what the schedule's like.
Fine, I'll just go.
We'll see.
But yeah, you don't want to jinx it. You need more than one game to sample. But Giannis, this free throw shooting, like if you fix that, you're just clearly far and away the best player to ever touch the game, touch the ball. Like you're perfect. But Besides like your 3-point shooting. Also just the weirdest start to a game. A Giannis corner three is your first shot.
Yeah.
Like what was that? How did that happen? Giannis was like, I'm nailing these free throws. Let's see. Well, because he hadn't even done it yet.
No, he hadn't done anything yet.
He was like, no, my shooting looks good after practicing with his broom. Let's get this 3-point shot off.
One thing, the only negative I'll say about Giannis from this game is the assists have trended down a little bit lately. And I don't know if that's just, he's just been more of a play finisher. But, especially with guys like Trent and Prince shooting the ball well, would like to see a little bit more playmaking from Giannis. But that's pretty ticky-tacky because he's been, again, just an elite play finisher with Dame setting him up more. I don't think it's a huge deal. But that is one thing I've noticed, that it's a little lower than like the 6 per game he's been averaging this year. Now it's down to 5.8. But ultimately, it's probably not even a problem because, again, like if he touches the ball and he's just dunking it most of the time, that also works for the Bucks.
100%, 100%. But I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit more about Dame.
Yeah, fair.
Dude's just incredible.
Just needed the threes to fall.
I know, but like just in general,
but lately, yes.
he's been hitting it. It's a weird LA game for Dame. Wonder what happened there.
Listen to some Merzik before the game, maybe.
Maybe he's recording another horrible Tissot commercial. Nothing against like Tissot, but those commercials are bad.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like you should be doing so much better.
Especially, what's the one where he's on the grill?
Oh, what is it? That's a Adidas one, right?
That's a great commercial.
It's a really good commercial.
Very funny. And it's honestly, you know what I like about it? Low key, it's a very Wisconsin-pilled commercial.
Yes.
But it's subtle. It's not over the top. Like, oh, I have a cheese head on. He's working the grill. He's talking about 24-second. Like, perfect. Perfect commercial.
It's great.
Very pleasing. The Tissot one, just no, not good.
No. You can do better. Send us some review copies, Tissot.
Yeah, let us get involved in the creative here, or get Adidas' guy to do it because they nailed it.
Yeah, just to have Dame's the central figure here. Like, people at Adidas know how to market Dame. They've been doing it for a decade. Let him do it.
I'm glad you brought this Dame back up though. I got the hat. I feel like as the season goes on, more and more. I don't know. Closer is not the right word. It's very parasocial. Dame doesn't know me, I think. But I do feel like
they listen to the pod in the locker room. What are you talking about?
That is true. That hypes him up. I do feel like, I don't know, it's just been easier and easier to embrace Dame as like one of the two guys for the Bucks. Am I just late to this? I don't know.
No, I think it goes back to what we were talking about a week or so ago with what Vin Baker was talking about. Like it's been a resurgence and a revitalization. Like Dame is playing differently. Like he truly is. He's playing like he is a member of this team, which he hadn't been. Like Vin Baker put it perfectly. You're not a guest here. Like this, it isn't that. So I don't think you're late to the party. I think it's easier to embrace Dame because Dame has embraced the Bucks.
Yeah. The hat here. Oh, hold on. Taking my headphones too. You walk through the details on this hat. 4-1-40 City. Nice touch. Obviously him doing the Dame time. All for one, one for all.
There you go.
Signature on the bottom. His kid's name printed on the inside, which is very nice. But so many nice Milwaukee ties. You got the Fear the Deer and Dame with the shot clock lettering on the back. A little music note on the top. We went a little far with this, I think. That's a little much, but I think it's still a nice hat. And obviously the Bucks logo in the clock on it too. But so many nice Milwaukee touches. He said he wants to see people in Milwaukee wearing it in the summer. I do feel like there was the early concern of like, oh, how happy is he? And like throughout last season, I do feel like he's done pretty much everything possible to be the ideal Buck, including to the detriment of him and the team, right? What you're talking about with Vin, like trying to fit in too much. And now he needs to fit out. You're not Kevin Love. You're Dame. There's levels to this. And the Bucks don't need you to be Kevin Love. They need you to be Dame. And I don't know. I've never felt better about the Giannis Dame partnership since we've actually seen it. You know, when the trade happened, we're like, they're going to win 70 games and blah, blah, blah. That obviously did not happen. But since we've started to see them on court, not just this season, but like for the next couple of years. Because, there were points like, how long is Dame going to be good enough to build around all this? Like, what are they going to have to do? now I'm very much like, we got Giannis and Dame for at least the rest of this Dame contract, and let's maximize that, because these two, and just their chemistry together too, we haven't really talked about. Like, they're pick and rolls. Giannis is slamming dunks all the time. Like, they're kind of unguardable like we envision them being. So now I think that also feeds into, like, it's not about hating Khris, but it's about how do we put these guys in position to best win a title this year and next year, because they can do it. I do feel that these guys can do it if they have the right pieces around them, because this partnership has really taken off now.
Really has. You can see they're getting their timing down a little bit better. Everything looks a little bit cleaner, that two-man game. Like, I don't think we've seen as many Dame Giannis lobs as we have in the last 2 weeks. Like, we've seen more in the last 2 weeks than we had this entire tenure. I mean, probably not technically, but it feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, the chemistry is there. Those two have figured it out. They've figured out how to play with each other, play to each other's strengths, leverage each other's greatness. Like, there was against the Heat game, I think the coaching staff has figured it out a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because you see, one thing I really loved is before the halftime buzzer, Dame hit a big three in that game against Miami, right? Fading away in the corner. If you look at that play design, it's just perfect, because it forces the defense to pick between, okay, do we have to worry about Dame going around screens on the perimeter or Giannis going around screens barreling towards the basket? And it's like, whichever one you pick, you're dead.
Right.
And they die. Like that happened. Like, they got burned, because you have to make a choice, and both choices are wrong.
The more I think about this too, with like the acclimation worries, I just think Dame and Giannis would be clearly better than anyone they bring in. So I kind of don't mind if the acclimation means like, LaVine, you're just not going to do as much. You know what I mean? Like, respect you. You're clearly going to be the Bucks' third best player in a positive and a negative sense, right? Like, I'm not worried if you're not getting the max out of Zach LaVine, as long as some form of Zach LaVine can get the max out of Giannis and Dame. Does that make sense?
No, I think you're very right. And Zach LaVine would be overqualified to be the Bucks' third best player, like on any other team. But he would be the third best player on the Bucks, hands down.
He's obviously not this level of defender. And it's kind of funny because of the dunk contest. Would it not be kind of like what the Nuggets did with Gordon?
That's what I was thinking.
Like, oh, you were the guy. And again, I think LaVine is better offensively, worse defensively, both when he has been the guy and even on the Bucks. But like, you haven't won anything as the guy. Or the second guy when DeMar was there. Went to the playoffs once. If you're just, or this Derek White idea, right? Like, just do what you do, but less, and maybe the team goes crazy. I do think that formula has clearly worked for teams lately, of like, oh, maybe he's overqualified or he's not going to fix. He's used to doing this. Sometimes those guys who, they're not Dame. Dame was different, right? LaVine's not a top 75 player. And then you put him in that third role and it's like, ooh, okay, now I see it, because now this guy is like really perfect for this role.
Truly, yeah. It's
kind of talking myself into LaVine here.
I know, me too. And it's really unfortunate, because that's what we thought of Khris when the Dame trade happened, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Khris is way overqualified to be a third best player on a team. He's won a title as the second best player on the team.
Yeah. It's just the health.
Things haven't gone his way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I don't blame him for it. I don't think it's
not his fault. No, it's not his fault.
It's not.
It's just he's a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, you got to factor it. It's part of the conversation here.
Yeah, and
it's
again,
unfair,
we don't feel good about it.
No,
this is a very pro Khris Middleton podcast. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah,
but no, I'm kind of talking myself into Zach LaVine.
It just makes a ton of sense, man. I mean, as much as it would obviously hurt, I think on court, you're like, yeah, it immediately makes sense, because I think you point out LaVine, you're like, well, the issue, what's the first thing you would say outside of, oh, he could get hurt again? Sure, anyone in the league could. The healthiest player in the league could. Anyone except LeBron, apparently. Is the defense. But it's like, okay, you're sending Middleton, Portis, and Connaughton.
What defense?
LaVine is the best defensive player of the four. Yep. I feel pretty confident. I mean, if Middleton can get his legs back more and play more, then maybe, but I think it's probably still LaVine.
Probably. At this point, it's just athleticism.
He's not a clamp, but it's like, that's why you have Ajax. That's why you have Rollins. That's why you have Giannis, who is like taking Kawhi on ball and playing more on ball lately. Like, their defense also has not been the problem. I've seen like even some national people like the Bucks defense sucks, so this wouldn't help. Like,
Bucks
They're a top
defense
10
is good.
defense. They're a top 10 defense. Yeah, that's been their unit they can rely on. They need a more consistent offense outside of Giannis and Dame, who have been flourishing. And Levine, I think, totally gives you that.
Yeah, truly does. And I don't know. It feels right. It feels like a perfect opportunity for the Bucks to swoop in. One thing, just a little bit of a shift here. One thing that I've really noticed when watching a lot of basketball lately, like this Rivals Week has actually been kind of fun. But
yeah,
that's not what I was going to say. But it has been kind of fun. Bucks really need an athletic big.
Yeah,
I feel like every team.
Oh my god,
every team has one except the Bucks. Apparently.
Yep.
It just makes so much of a difference.
It's huge. It's everything. They need that. Even like this Levine trade is fun. They need that too. They can't just make they need another big as well. I mean, obviously they need one if they trade Portis. We saw that too. But even when everyone's healthy, they need that option.
You need just an athlete. You need an athletic big man. Like
I can't be more locked into Bassie.
I cannot stress like the athleticism aspect of it. Like you just need to be like a rim runner. You need to be fast. You need to be just have springs in your boots, or maybe not like you don't need to be perfect, right? You don't need to have like a 50-inch vertical or anything. Like just can you jump 20 inches off the ground?
Yeah,
because that's like double what the Bucks' current bigs can do.
Seriously,
which might not be hyperbolic, but. You just need
Ajax grows 6 inches.
I mean, if Khris Livingston can do it,
who knows? Grow that much. If Khris Livingston grew that much, he'd be their backup center.
I wish, man. I wish. I still think he should get a chance, but
yeah. And I know people think Tyler Smith should too. I don't think he's ready yet.
He's not. He's not ready at all defensively.
Yeah.
Just
maybe someday he can be that, but
he could even be that next year. Like you could try him next year, just not this year.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a this year thing.
Charles Bassie, baby.
Look at the Bucks having a young core. It's crazy.
Speaking of, do you have anything else to talk about Bucks?
No, I set you up for that.
Okay, perfect. Speaking of, pretend I didn't ask Rohan that question. Interviews with, Henry Ellenson, I don't think is a young core, but a good player. But A.J. Johnson, certainly part of the Bucks young core, their first overall pick.
Some might say the highlight of the Bucks young core.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is certainly right now. He had, I'll say, a good game given the circumstances. He had 15 points, 4 assists, 3 boards against Capital City. Real quick shout out, John Butler Jr. on Capital City is like a 7-foot guy who shoots threes. I don't think he can play center. I think he's too skinny. He doesn't average a lot of rebounds. But just like not a two-way, just a loose G League player. I was a Liam Robbins fan, but I would consider a player like that over Liam, who has not really played well.
Only 22.
Florida State, I think, this is his 3rd year in the G League. I don't know why he hasn't been plucked more. I mean, that's just really, he's skinny. Like, again, I don't think he can play center, but a legit shooter. And
7 foot 190 is
yeah. But
it's skinny.
I mean, like the Suns had gotten some real minutes out of Bull. Like there's uses for that kind of player.
No, it's like you can't teach size. You know? No. You can even teach weight.
Yeah, you can teach weight. I mean, even if he like we said with Tyler Smith, even if he's just like a big stretch forward, that's still valuable. Just surprised he's loose. Usually, size plus shooting does not last as real G League players for long. But A.J. Johnson, I thought, had a pretty good game, and I caught up with him after the game and Ellenson, talk about a bunch of things. So we will head to those interviews now. But pod random and enjoy me talking to A.J. and Henry. Obviously, kind of a game where it seemed like nothing went right for you guys. Mm-hmm. Do you think, is there lessons and things you can take away from this, or is this a burn the tape kind of game?
I mean, I feel like you can always take something from every game, but I feel like the main thing is honestly just like competing and like staying together and things get like tough and stuff like that. We got to stay close together and at the end of the day, really just compete.
Yeah. In addition to obviously the lead being what it was, kind of an odd game with multiple stoppages, the shot clock, the challenges. Yeah. Do you think that kind of played into just the game being a little disjointed for you guys?
I mean, maybe a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's just basketball. Things gonna happen. So I feel like we just gotta play harder and compete. At the end of the day, like that's just, it gets to a point. Too many points losing by it don't really become about like the other things. I feel like it's more about it. So
Yeah. They played an aggressive, kind of full court pressing 3-2 zone.
Mm-hmm.
The team got turned over, I think, 18 times, but you only had one of them.
Mm-hmm.
What was the key in kind of maintaining ball security, even against a long team that was really pressuring you all night?
Yeah, no, I would just say us just trusting each other, and being confident, not like, seeing like press and stuff like that, getting shaky or anything like that, just going out there and just, trusting each other, just, being confident. I think that would help when things come like that in the future. Try to be aggressive and like the press and stuff like that.
Definitely. Speaking of the aggression, you were attacking the paint for a lot of this game. They were having success defending the rim. Again, a lot of length, both on the perimeter and by the hoop. What kind of mentality does it take from you to, have a couple of misses at the rim, but just keep going, not give up, not just start deferring or just taking a bunch of jumpers?
Yeah. I feel like just knowing that, I can get to the rim pretty much almost every time I want to. So it's like, that's the main thing that they preach, on our team is to get a paint touch. So it's either I can make a play for myself or anybody if I get to the paint. So, and my teammates and my coach, they do a really good job of just telling me, letting me know that I can get to the paint anytime I want. So just telling me to continue to be aggressive and stuff like that. So
it looked like you might have worked in maybe earlier a couple floaters as well.
Yeah.
When you get past that first layer, is that just trying to round out the different ways you have of, okay, I beat the defender, now I have multiple things in the toolbox to get the bucket?
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm definitely trying to get that third level of game, because I feel like if I can pull for a floater, they won't know what I'll do. I can do a floater, I can get all the way to the rim, three. So I just trying to get 3 levels,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Speaking of the 3 ball, you went to the pump fake a lot in this game. You took some threes late, knocked down a couple as well. But is that, again, just trying to stay aggressive and get the paint touches versus settling, even if you do feel like you may have enough space?
Yeah, I would say so too. Just I feel like I need to be aggressive, just aggressive as when I'm getting to the rim as when I'm shooting threes as well. So I'm just trying to continue to find that balance and doing both as aggressive as I can possibly do.
Yeah. Speaking of the balance, you're out there with James Akinjo, one of the G League's leading assist men so far. What's it like to kind of have that push and pull? I mean, obviously you're staggered. You are the lead ball handler, the only ball handler sometimes. But then sometimes you're off ball. What's that kind of like, just switching up mid game?
Yeah, no, I feel like it's good that I learned how to play on and off the ball. So I'm just not put to just one position. I want to be able to do multiple things, guard 1 through 3, 1 through 4, be able to come off the ball, on the ball, So I feel like it's good that I can. I feel like since I've been off the ball, I've gotten a lot better with my shooting, catch and shoot, all that type of thing. So it's definitely been a lot of good too. But I definitely want to be a lead guard. I see myself being a point guard one day.
Yeah.
Franchise. So yeah. But I want to be able to do both. So
I wanted to ask about the defensive focus, because I noticed you switch in. You're on bigs in the post, and you're not looking for that scram switch. You're staying down there. You had the nice steal late in the paint, just rising up. How important is it to you? Even rookie year, I know you focus on development, but right now being an impact defender, a big guard on that end.
Yeah, no, I definitely take that super serious. I feel like defense is going to win a lot of games, and then it's super valuable in today's game. We have so many people that want to do offense and things like that. I feel like if you can guard the ball and guard multiple positions, you're really valuable. So that's something I just try to stay focused on.
Absolutely. You had a great slam in the first quarter. Teammate Andre Jackson Jr. announced doing the slam dunk contest this year. How do you think he's going to do, and would you like to, if ever invited, participate in the slam dunk contest?
Yeah, I think he's going to do great, honestly. He's actually one of the bounciest people I didn't see, so I'm actually interested to see what tricks he got. But yeah, I definitely see myself doing the dunk contest for sure.
I want to ask about you mentioned just the things you're working on. Is there one thing that you feel like you've made the most ground since coming here as a rookie in terms of your game, and is there one that you're like, I really want to continue working to get this down?
Yeah, pretty much everything. I want to be great at everything. I want to be better at everything. But I would say some things that improved the most would probably just be my understanding for the game. Since summer league all the way until now, I feel like the game has slowed down a lot for me, and my shooting, I feel like it's gotten a lot better since then. But yeah, I just want to, I really want to get better at everything, honestly.
Yeah. And then last one for you, a lot of vets here on the herd level, obviously on the Bucks roster as well. Is there one that you could signal out as that's been really impactful and helpful for you in this rookie season?
Yeah, I feel like really everybody. I feel like everyone's doing a really good job collectively, being there for, me and Ty as being rookies and stuff like that. I haven't been down there too much. I've been going up and back a lot. But I would say pretty much everybody, honestly, all my teammates.
Kind of a game where everything seemed to go against you guys. Nothing really went right. Do you look at this, and I know you probably will, do some more kind of review and reflection, but is this a burn the tape game for you, or you think are there valuable takeaways from looking back at this?
I think there's valuable takeaways for sure. Obviously, we got a quick turnaround tomorrow with Windy City Bulls, so it's kind of one of those you got put behind you, but I thought, the way we played played today and the way we, maybe fought throughout the game was just not up to the level of what we've been doing these last couple games. So it's just something that, especially versus really good teams like the Go-Go, we just got to be able to, put a better foot forward to start the game and not get ourselves so down, and then we're just trying to play catch up and not playing our game. And so we got to do a better job starting the game and then also just fighting and competing there.
Yeah, it's in addition to obviously the lead, what it was, seemed like kind of an odd game with multiple stoppages, whether it's the challenges or the shot clock issue. Do you think that kind of played into just you guys being a bit out of rhythm out there?
I think it was just they hit a couple shots early. I think it got us out of our defense a little bit. I thought for guys-wise, just communicating, I think, because they were hitting shots and, we were missing a couple assignments on, maybe finding some shooters and stuff. So that put us in a hole. And I think, when you give a good team like that some rhythm to start the game, it's hard to catch up.
So in addition to just being a good team, a pretty big team, a long athletic team, that extended 2-3 zone, out in the full court gave your ball handlers issues, and it seemed like in the half court it was difficult to get the ball to you and the other bigs in the paint. Looking back, is that a strategic thing that you had to kind of try different strategies, or is it just kind of being able to, whether it's box out more, make a quick decision or pass? Like, what goes into beating that next time you see it?
Yeah, obviously a very tall, lengthy team. We got to be able to play our game, though. They were switching, and we could attack in the post, but sometimes we got a little happy just because they're so tall, swinging the ball on the perimeter and not getting to the paint either if it's in the post on a drive. So games like that, they're tall and stuff, but we got to still attack the paint and try to make plays for each other. And we had flashes of that, but we didn't do it enough for a full game.
Speaking of just kind of those two options, going inside or the perimeter shot, your game, you're able to do both. A lot more, I'd say, 2 shots around the basket than 3s. Is it a focus for you to kind of work inside out with your scoring to build a rhythm, or is it just kind of dependent on how the defense is playing you and the looks you're getting?
I think recently, these last couple games, a lot of teams have been switching and throwing a small guy on me, and so that's something we've had success with in these last couple games, so it's kind of something we're going to continue to try to look for. I can either go to work down there and make a play for my teammates, and so it's something just over these last couple of games it seems like the defenses have been doing and stuff, and so for me personally, just try to make the right play down there in the post, either it's going to work or trying to find an open shooter.
Absolutely. I haven't gotten to catch up with you for a while, so I wanted to ask, how was the AmeriCup experience in November, and how difficult is it to kind of mid-season go join another team and then come back, get caught up, and get reintegrated like that?
Yeah, I had a great experience with the AmeriCup. For me, being able to play with USA basketball, it's always an honor, something I'm always so grateful to be asked to do. The first time I played with USA basketball was U17, and then this time in the fall I was 27, so I had over 10 years of playing with USA basketball, and it's special every time, and we had a really fun group. We had a team with some older guys, some veterans, and we were able to go 2-0 out there in Washington, D.C., so I just had a great overall experience with that, to be able to go work with those guys, go play for those coaches. Had Patrick Ewing, he was the big man coach. That was a cool experience to go work out with him and be in the Georgetown gym with his his poster all over the gym. So that was a really cool experience, and be able to get some wins, and so I'm grateful for that. And it's just kind of crazy with the timing of having to leave the herd and stuff, and those first couple games back, definitely had to get back with the group of the guys, and it was something though Bano and GM already get full support on, so I was just super grateful for that.
Awesome. And then with that experience, getting to play for and see some more people with the AmeriCup team, as well as having some great games here with the Herd, I know your focus is here on this team, but trade deadline season, a lot of NBA roster movement happening. Do you feel like you're close to that NBA call-up to get back and rejoin that level? You obviously have a lot of experience up there.
Yeah, for me, I think winning, handles everything. I think I've been on teams where we've had a bunch of guys called up, and we were, the best in the league record-wise, and so, I think that's kind of something I try to preach to even guys in our locker room. If you're, trying to focus on getting called up, it's hard. But if you focus on getting wins, and teams like winners, I think I've found that throughout my career. Having a winning brand, it travels around with you as a player, and so I think the more you win games, the more NBA teams and stuff check you out. So as long as you focus on the right things, I think it'll all work out the way it should be.